John 15, if you guys will turn there. Before I get started, it's the vine and I am the branches, and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me and you that bears no fruit, while every branch that does not bear fruit he prunes so that it will bear even more fruit. So I came to a program similar to Saving Grace and Project Hope. It's called Adult and Teen Challenge back in 2011. I found myself in a jail cell. I had pretty much ruined my life with meth, marijuana, men, fast money, stuff that like you guys are very familiar with. I had a son at 17, and still being a young teenage mother, I still wanted to have that party life and that kind of lifestyle. So I chose drugs over my child. I lost my parental rights to my son, and I'm not standing up here saying that I'm proud of that, but I'm trying to go somewhere with it to show you that God does restore, and He is a faithful God. For 10 years, I ran from God. I knew God. I was raised in church. I knew right from wrong. I went to church every time the church doors were open. But, God still allows you to do what He gives us this free will, So I always knew that I had a calling on my life. So running through, from God in those 10 years, losing my son and parental rights, I found myself in a jail cell a couple of different times with possession charges, DUIs, resisting arrest. If you can see me like trying to resist arrest, but you know how meth gets you all hyped up and stuff. I thought I was 90 pounds soaking wet and 10 feet bulletproof, or whatever you want to call it. I thought that was me. I thought I was invisible. But I cried out to God in a jail cell and said, God, if you get me out of this, I'll serve you for the rest of my life. He got me out one time, and then I winded up getting arrested again by the same officer 6 months later and went through the whole process again. But I was looking at some major prison time, 5 years, and I really cried out to God and started seeking Him in the jail cell, reading my Bible, really getting into devotion time and prayer and reading His Word, and really started humbling myself. And thank God that the judge was a believer, and he knew he seen something in me that wasn't prison, life. The Lord opened a door for me to go into the Adult and Teen Challenge, and from there, at the time, I didn't really know what I was getting into. I just knew this is my ticket out of here, and I'll do whatever I have to do, to get out of it. And so I went all the way. I'm from Kentucky, and I went all the way to Missouri to one of our sister centers at that time. But little did I know, I didn't know I was gonna have to memorize 250 scriptures, read, memorize this and that. But I'm glad I did do it, because it really taught me some life lessons that you do learn here in the program, training up a child the way it should go, and it will never depart. And I came back around, and if God can do that for me, He can do that for you guys. 3 years after I graduated the program, God allowed me to have restoration with my son. Even though he was 18 and of age, he still came back. We always had a special bond, but he had a lot of anger, and resentment toward me. Like, a mother should not, choose drugs over their child, or a father shouldn't. But, it's what we do. It's called sin. We don't want to, but sometimes it happens. But God does restore. My son and I have a relationship now that, the time has been redeemed, like it never happened. But it's a process. It takes time. But we have to surrender our life to God and allow Him and the Holy Spirit to heal our hearts, the anger that we may have in our hearts at ourselves, we beat ourselves up over this because we have shame and resentment. But God is the only one that can heal that. And when you stop kicking and screaming and just say, hey, God, I'm here. I'm going to do whatever you need me to do, and just be obedient to his word, you will start getting blessed. You will start seeing the fruit of your labor, your cries, your prayers. You'll start seeing some fruit from it when God, knows that you're ready, that he knows that he can trust you with that, so I hope that makes sense. I just feel like I'm rambling on, but so even with me working in ministry, I had gotten married, and I thought, he's a Teen Challenge graduate, he's got it together too. Well, needless to say, he didn't have it together, and after about 4 years, we got divorced, and when COVID hit, just started going really downhill. We started, being directors over different centers together, and he had an affair on me with a staff member in one of our centers. So, that really took me down through there. So even working in ministry, the enemy is still attacking you. I found myself in a really deep, dark depression and trying to be a director over a center that God only pulled me out of after a year. But it was a long road. But, I just had to take my life, give my life back to God and just pull my bootstraps and say, look, devil, you're not going to have me. I'm walking forward. So I had to find my self-worth again in Jesus, because I had lost it. Because you know how depression is, anxiety, all of that mental health stuff, it can really take a toll on a person. But God, he's the answer. He's the way, the truth, and the life. And yeah, anyway, thank you for letting me share.